Hi, this is Jim Rapon with Coldwell Banker Danforth. Rhonda, would you introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Jim. I'm Rhonda Porter. I'm a licensed loan officer with Mortgage Master Service Corporation, and I'm the author of the Mortgage Porter blog.
And this is Seattle Real Estate Chat. Welcome or welcome back. We've had the summer off here and are back at end of September to start our fall season. And we thought we'd start off with a just kind of a market update. What's been going on in both the mortgage market and the real estate market in Seattle, and talk about some of the changes. Rhonda, you want to start off with changes about mortgages?
Sure. I think I'll start off with doing a quick overview on mortgage rates. And although rates have been, for a loan officer, I feel like it's been volatile lately with the markets, but in reality, rates are still very, very low. And by low, I mean under 4%. The rates that, as Jim's scrolling down further, these are rates that I quoted yesterday afternoon after the close of market, in which the Dow really got hit hard yesterday afternoon, and I think we're back a little in the red again right now. So these rates should not be far off. In fact, they're essentially the same as they were the week before when I did my rate post, which I do every Monday at mortgageporter.com. But I quoted yesterday around 4 o'clock a 30-year at 3.875. That's priced with 0.603 points. It has an APR of 3.969. And so again, rates are pretty low. You can have a lower rate if you want to pay more points, or you can also reduce those points and have a slightly higher rate. And so that's where rates have been. 15-year is hovering around 3 1/8 with an APR of 3.321, priced with 0.852 points. And again, this is yesterday as of 4 o'clock, but I don't anticipate them being that far off from rates right now. So again, still very low and affordable as far as rates are concerned. So I'm seeing a lot of purchase business, people willing to take advantage of locking in these rates, and also refis too. And I should mention too, or I need to mention, that these rates quoted, these are the fun thing of quoting rates is I have a lot of disclosures to do, is that they are based on a sales price of $500,000 with 20% down and a credit score of 740 or higher, and are subject to credit approval. So, and may change anytime and will change anytime. So anyhow, that's my rate update.
So, Rhonda, there was a lot of buzz a couple of weeks ago about Janet Yellen raising the rate from 0 for the Fed rate to something above 0.
Right.
And everybody was saying, well, if she does it, it's only going to be maybe 1/8 of a point or 1/4 of a point. But she didn't. And now they're talking about that she may be doing that in the October 15th, or what is it, November or December? She
oh
has
my gosh.
another day.
I think it's going
There's
to
a couple
be
more anyway.
November. Yeah, there are more coming up.
Anyway, my question to you was, because I don't really understand how that affects all this like you do, if she were to raise it, say 1/4 or 1/8 from 0, how much of that would be affected in the mortgage rate? Would we see a equivalent or more or less? What would be your prediction of that?
That's a great question, Jim. And so the Fed doesn't directly control mortgage interest rates, because mortgage rates are based on mortgage-backed securities, and they're kind of similar to stocks. And so they fluctuate throughout the day and may change several times a day. And so since they are traded as a bond, investors will react to what the Fed does. And so, for example, last week when she first indicated that there probably wasn't going to be any increase to rates until at all this year. And so then the bond markets reacted and rates improved. And then no sooner did she say that, I think it was the next day or whatever, she kind of caught some heat, I think, from her fellow Fed members, and they were coming out saying, no, we think that we might see an increase. And she has since come out just within a week too, saying, yeah, we could see an increase sooner. And it probably will just be something like 1/8 or 1/4 point. It's not going to be an enormous increase. But then that caused rates to bounce a bit too, because again, it's all as far as trades go. So by the time the Fed does make a move, whatever happens to mortgage rates will kind of be factored in based off of what bond traders are predicting that she's going to do. So, and the reason how come rates kind of may increase as she's doing that is because if they are increasing the Fed funds rate, it's potentially, signs of inflation and inflation is bad for bonds. Now, the rate that the Fed funds rate will impact for mortgages is most likely will be home equity loans, because those are typically attached to the prime rate, and so they will correlate with that. So you can probably expect, if you're a homeowner and you have a home equity loan, that if the Fed raises that rate a quarter point or an eighth of a point, that's how much your home equity loan rate is going to increase.
Okay, all right, that's helpful. The other thing I was wondering was if it's going up, say, just a little bit at a time. What I remember about when rate increases happen, doesn't that usually increase a lot more people in the market? I mean, you've got all these people sitting on the fence going, oh, I can get a low loan anytime. And then when they start seeing rates increase, they kind of go, wait a minute, I don't want to be caught when it goes up 5 points and not being able to buy a home. At least that's been sort of my experience, that we see actually a little bit more activity, even though rates go up a little bit when they do that. Is that what you're expecting too?
I think so. I mean, especially in markets where it's not for first-time home buyers, but maybe a move-up buyer or something like that. It might motivate them, because rates have been low for so long now that I think it's made some people complacent, and they just kind of take it for granted that, hey, mortgage rates are always going to be under 4%, and that's simply not true. I mean, in reality, any rate that's under 6% is really historically a very low rate. But for those of us that are just coming to the market recently, or just gotten used to having these rates under 4, once they get past that point, which they will go above that, it should motivate some. And then for some people that are maxed out at their debt to income ratios, it may cause them to qualify for less home. So I mean, that could be a challenge too.
Right. Yeah, that was sort of my fear, is that those people that have a lot of credit debt right now, and then once that rate starts to increase, their servicing of all that debt through their credit cards or home loans or whatever it may be that they have, may make it tougher for them to get that home they wanted. They may have to actually step down if they don't do something. So interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Seattle market. It has been humming along at a very fast pace this last year. Where right now, this month, it shows us being at about 7.7% increase year on year. And so say August 31st from August 31st a year ago. That is down significantly from where it was about a year and a half ago, but that was unsustainable. That was up in the 12 to 15% annual appreciation rates, and that would have driven us right into a bubble. So I think the market's cooled enough to where we hopefully won't be seeing any kind of a bubble thing going on, but if it spikes again or we don't see inventory, anything could happen. But I think it's doing a healthy slowdown. And when I say healthy, I'll show you some numbers here. Let me screen share this chart that I get from Trend Graphics, which I use for my clients to give them data. This is a kind of a, gosh, can you see this? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. It's it meant to be all of Seattle, so it does not include Bellevue. It does not include any other outlying areas. So if you take the greater Seattle area, it's going to be a little bit different than this. But since we're talking mostly about Seattle here, I just did this one. I can make these charts for even a specific neighborhood. But at any rate, this is all of Seattle. So the orange line there is the pending sales. And if you look at the last couple of months of the year that we were showing, that we have on record, July and August, and even June, the number of pending transactions went down. And that would be what we would call a normal market in the summer, because in the past, what has happened is that, school gets out, people get involved with their vacations and life. And this year we had a fantastic sunny summer. So they were outdoors doing things and not necessarily house shopping. But you see this green of the ones that have sold actually spikes. The key part of that number that you need to realize is those homes went pending a month or month and a half before that. The way it works is you get it when you find a home, you make an offer, you get a mutually accepted contract. And as you know, we spend about a month going through getting the appraisal done, the all the financing and everything before it actually closes. So those sold dates represent the closed date of transactions that actually happened back in March, April, May prior. So, and then if you look at the light green one below there, it's kind of hard to see. But the main point I want to make about that is that the inventory has been tight, but it's been staying very steady. So we haven't seen a huge spike in inventory, and we haven't seen a huge reduction in inventory, which is kind of what you would hope for, is that we would end up with higher inventory, because this is historically very low. If you look back, even last year, we had much higher amounts of properties to choose from. So, you know, we're still hoping that we get more inventory out there. My belief is that if we have more inventory, we'll probably also see more pendings, because you know, if people are out there looking to buy homes, and there's still multiple offers on many homes, they're also not making offers because they can't find the homes they're looking for. I have several clients that are looking for specific types of homes, and you know, we're waiting, watching, looking for. They're just not coming on the market. So that hopefully will change in the next few months. But that's kind of what's going on now.
Right, and I've seen, because I have a lot of people that I've been pre-approved buyers I've been working with for a long time, because they've been dealing with the lack of inventory and being bid out on homes and not finding what they want, just as you mentioned. And then also some of them are changing their minds of what they want, maybe accepting a home that isn't as nice as what they originally had, you know, planned to buy. So, you know, maybe buying a fixer. So yeah, it's been a pretty challenging market for home buyers, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm encouraging buyers who don't have really locked in specifics of geographical needs to try to expand their horizons, you know, about location of where they might want to be. Seattle has so many wonderful neighborhoods. If you can get something that is virtually the same driving or distance to your work or to your children's schools or whatever, you may find some other neighborhoods that are just as attractive as the ones you've been focusing on that you just didn't know about. And once you explore them, then you're going, well, that opens up sometimes double or triple the amount of options. So that's important too. I also wanted to mention that the condo market is extremely tight, and part of that is a lot of the developers have making the choice to go for apartments construction versus condo construction. Now, there's not much really difference there. The code is basically the same, but when they're filing for the status of the new construction, they're not filing for condos right now. They're filing as apartments, and that may be a problem. The money that they can get per square foot and the amount of hassle is more, and the amount of hassle is less. And I saw a number or an article here in Curbed about this, but it's been actually in a number of different blog posts and newspaper articles that we continue to see maybe a 10-to-1 ratio of new apartments to new condos.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that really hurts downtown condo availability. And it's not near as severe as you get further outside of the downtown core, but it still affects the rental rates and purchase rates, I should say, area wide. So they're very popular now, and I think it's partly because seeing the millennial crowd is sort of maturing into purchasing, and they are much more comfortable with the condo lifestyle and just the type of ownership, you know, how that the title works differently and all of that, versus our generation where condos first came into being and people were like, what, you're owning a slice of air? No, that doesn't make sense. You know, no, people in the younger generation, oh, condo, yeah, I get it. I own this portion and I share these common amenities, and I save on the overall expense of the maintenance of this whole structure by having done it as part of a large condominium. So anyway, that's, I think, changing the demographics. You know, so many more people now are single household or two per household versus before the bigger families. That's also making a difference in demand. But anyway, so that was about it for my market update. We also have a new building coming into town, or they're talking about. Have you heard about this new building?
I have. I've seen clips of it on the news. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, let me see if I can get a screenshot of it up here. We had it. I saw it initially on. Was it Crosscut? No, it was Seattle Business Journal, and then I saw it on Crosscut as well. But here's at least an article that'll show you a little bit of what it's going to look like. Let's see. This one's actually from Curbed too, but you can see that okay?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So it would be 101 stories. They're actually kind of still, this is the early design stages, might be as much as 111, but it's got some hurdles to go through. The biggest hurdle right now is the FAA is trying to decide, will this be in the way of planes landing at Boeing Field? Can they get around it? And they actually had that issue with the Columbia Center building, the tallest one right next to it, when they were building, well, after they built it, they wanted to put some radio towers, like cell towers above it that would stick up, and they went through that same kind of research. They eventually approved that for Columbia Center, but they never actually put them on, and that permit has since expired. So I don't know that they could say, well, they were willing to do it before, or why won't they do it now? I don't know that argument would stand up. They have to just reevaluate it completely again. The other thing that's interesting about this tower, besides its height, and it will be the second tallest west of the Mississippi if it gets approved, is that they're setting it up in order to do some of these zoning things. They are using an interesting clause where they set the tower up as different neighborhoods. So there'll be neighborhoods within the building that are separated out by amenities. So you'll have a multifamily neighborhood, and then you'll have a commercial neighborhood. So the commercial neighborhood would have the hotel part, and the residence neighborhood would have the condos. And the commercial neighborhood, retail commercial, would have retail and restaurants and stuff like that. So actually setting vertical neighborhoods is a concept I don't think has been done anywhere in Seattle. I'm trying to find instances of it being done before, and I haven't found any yet, but I would love to, if anybody out there knows of that, I'd love to learn more about that, because that's a concept that it's new. It's new to me, and I'm guessing it's new to just about everybody.
That's pretty interesting. I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah. So anyway, that's really all I had for today. Is there anything else you want to share? And
the only other thing I want to share is that we've got a new form coming out next week. I probably should have said this to you, and I think we'll go over this more on another show, but it's a new document that's going to be replacing the good faith estimate and the federal truth in lending. So those documents will be retired next week, but it's only for new applications effective next week. So if you have a transaction that is in process or begins this week, you'll still have the current forms that are used. And so that's, I guess, I just at this point just want to give like a heads up that it will be a new document. And it is, even though this has been in the works for a couple of years with the CFPB, and it is going to take lenders and escrow companies and title companies a little time to get used to it and to adjust. So, but hopefully, Jim, on a future show, maybe even our next show, no pressure, we can discuss this in more detail.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think because it'll be coming in full force in early October, people will have questions. So be a good thing to address. We're trying to do these every 2 weeks. So that means next week will be the 6th of October. So the 13th of October would be the following Tuesday. So tune in. Feel free to jump in if you send us any links. And you can also find us at hashtag #RE_chat. Right?
Seattle RE Chat.
Seattle RE Chat. I knew it was.
Okay.
Seattle RE Chat. It's been a while.
Yeah.
A long summer. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.